Hey everybody. So I've decided to stop eating my dinner with my friend to broadcast what I feel is a really important message for South Africans at the moment, but it applies to everybody around the world because we are all under an intense amount of pressure at the moment. And now more than ever, it's so important to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit and to move when He says move, and to stand when He says stand, and to be obedient. So I'm being obedient in this moment to download a couple things that I really feel God is on God's heart at the moment. He wants you to know, and I can just feel His presence. I can feel His presence, and I really trust that as you listen to this, you're going to feel His presence as well. Because now more than ever, you need to know that God is on your side, but you also need to know that you're being positioned rightfully in the kingdom. And there are several factors that are in play at the moment in our lives that's causing a great pressure to come. And if you understand that from God's perspective, then you'll know what to do with the pressure. But if your eyes are on earth at the moment, you're going to find yourself feeling like you are overwhelmed and possibly even feeling like you're about to be overcome. I first of all just want to say to you that if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling angst, if you're feeling like the walls have closed in on every side and you're not sure what to do, I just want to extend grace to you in that moment, because we are all feeling that. I can't imagine a single person in the country right now who can't sense the palpable atmosphere that we're experiencing, that it feels charged. And you may be feeling it in your body, you're feeling it in your soul, your mind, and I want you to just take a moment and just let yourself be and just extend some grace to yourself. God is extending grace to us at the moment. But what you need to understand is that there is a battle for your inheritance at the moment, just like there's a battle for South Africa's inheritance. We're at a turning point right now where it's kind of like, it feels like make or break, but I want to tell you right now that you're going to make it, and so is this country. We have been facing a lot of spirits, the powers of the air, that have come to try and intimidate, to scream, and to push you out of your rightful place in the kingdom. We're seeing it in the country right now, where it's like, as we've stepped forward and we've said, no, we're not going to deal with this corruption, we're not going to deal with injustice, we're not going to deal with a nation that doesn't stand for righteousness. As we step forward in that, so there's been a pushback and a resistance. But I want to just tell you that the resistance is coming because the righteous have stepped forward, because the voice of God will be heard, because the time has come for you to rise up. And I want to say that there are so many people right now, your time has come. The bells have rang. I don't know if you just heard a bell in the background there. It's from the restaurant, but I want to tell you that the bells of heaven are ringing and are telling you to stand up and take your rightful place. There is nothing right now that can stop the move of God that has already started. It started as a rumbling, it started as a shaking, and I want to tell you that it probably looks like right now, whilst you're feeling pressure to move forward, you never thought that the time that you were going to be called to emerge into your rightful place would have looked so chaotic. And I want to tell you that it's out of the mess and it's out of the chaos that the strongest people are emerging. People that have been trained in secret, people that have been through the fire, and you are one of them. And I want to tell you that the fire that you're experiencing right now is it is because the glory of God has begun to descend on us. And when the glory of God comes, His glory displaces everything that is not of Him, because nothing can stand and not bow before the King of Glory when He enters. And He is entering your life. There are so many people that have cried out for the glory of God to manifest in their lives. And what comes first when His glory begins to move in your life is the displacement of everything that has sat in an illegal and unrightful throne in your life and in the territory that you are called to occupy. So there's a lot of displacement that is happening. You know, we're facing a lot of different things at the moment. Hate, entitlement, you can name all the negative things. But I want to tell you what we're facing is actually the biggest victory in the spirit, and which will then translate into the natural that you have ever seen. The plans of man and the castles of men are falling, and what will emerge and what God will give back to you in this season is everything that is gold, everything that is everlasting. And right at the center of that is Jesus, the person of Jesus in your life. You need to know and you need to hold on tight to who he is. Not what you think will come tomorrow, not what you even want him to do for you at this stage. Yes, 100%, you need to know what land you need to take and claim in the spirit. But more so than that, you need to keep your eyes on the King of Glory and on Jesus Christ. I want to tell you that we have started in the age of the restoration of the reverential fear of the Lord. And when we enter into the reverential fear of the Lord, holiness comes, and it really is the beginning of wisdom. And this is the beginning of wisdom in your life, where even mindsets that they've been good. So let's address those first. They've been good mindsets, but they've not been God mindsets, and they are holding you back from entering the place that God has designed for you. Those are being displaced right now. So that feels chaotic, but it has to happen. They're mindsets of iniquity. They're mindsets that have just been downright unhelpful at the moment, and those are being displaced right now. And what is coming is the reverential fear of the Lord and the beginning of wisdom in your life. Now, at the moment, what you need to know is that there are 3 dimensions that you can be dwelling in, and each is going to produce a different result. The first is you can have your eyes on earth and what's happening around you, and if you do that, it's going to get really stressful, and you're going to find that the intensity of what you're experiencing in your body and your mind and your soul, like the disruption, is just going to increase, and you're going to feel like you have less coping mechanisms. The second dimension is a dimension that we've almost been comfortable dwelling in. So we're going to put earth over here, then there's this dimension here. This is the place where things are, you have some measure and understanding of the kingdom. You have some measure and understanding of godly principles. And until now, applying those have gotten you a certain result. They've gotten you to a certain place. But you're going to find as you try to apply these now, they just don't seem to stick. And it gives a little bit of comfort, but it's not creating a solution that's bringing a breakthrough. And that's because God is calling us higher to this dimension over here. This dimension is where logic and reason are able to be mixed with kingdom principles. And as a result, they produce something that looks like godliness, it looks like holiness, but it's man's plans mixed with God's principles. And it's been until now producing an inferior result that's caused frustration and caused a lot of people to feel like they're stuck. When you go up here, and this is the glory dimension, this is where you lay low in the presence of God. This is where you let him do the talking. This is where you give up your right to be right. This is where you give up, you surrender. You surrender your plans, you throw everything before his feet, and you let him be God. It's in this place that logic and reason, you don't really get to play with those anymore, but it's in this place where understanding and revelation comes. I know the next question on your mind is going to be, how do you get here? You don't get here by trying to get here. You get here by surrendering. You get here by saying, God, it's you and you alone. Take me up. And as you go up, Don't try to understand. And as you skip past trying to understand, that is where understanding will come. And you will start to see the plans of God from a global perspective. You'll start to see from a higher place, and you'll be above all the chaos and the mess, and you'll hear really clearly. So it's been said that this is a time of seeing and hearing in the Spirit more than we've ever done so before, and that's 100% true. And to do that, you just need to surrender. Again, the battle that's coming is to keep you in the chaos. The battle that's coming is to try and blind and shut you off from hearing and seeing. But you got to know that God's love and your access to Him, which is undenied access to go straight up to the Father, to be seated in heavenly places with Christ, that access overrides any blindness, any inability to hear, and any inability to pray. I actually feel like a lot of people have come under a period now where you know that prayer is your lifeline, but you've almost felt like a hopelessness that's come over you, and you felt it's difficult to pray. I just feel like God is wanting to break that at the moment. So we just speak the name of Jesus over your life, and I just declare right now that every bit of prayerlessness is broken over your life, and you will not feel like it's a burden to pray. You're not going to feel like it's difficult to pray. You're not going to sit in a space and feel like you don't know what to pray, because there are new prayer strategies that are being downloaded at the moment that are coming from being in the glory, where you're going to pray and you're going to decree and you're going to declare from a place of knowing that God has already said yes to certain things. I just want to say this: there's certain territory that the enemy is trying to tell you right now that's not your territory. God's saying that is your territory. So you go and you occupy that. And I just want to come down to a very practical thing at the moment. Specifically, this is specifically for South Africans. We're going through a lot of practical stuff, and I think we really need to extend grace to one another. Grace and space. You need to make space for yourself to process what you're feeling, to process some of the pressures that have come. And we need to give grace and space to one another for that as well. As South Africans, we're really good with humor. And I think that humor is a gift that God has given us to be able to get through some tough stuff. So you need to ask God for joy. And I just feel like He's going to release joy to you in a way that's new and fresh. It's not going to come with sarcasm. It's not going to come with a cuttingness. It's not going to be demeaning to anybody, but rather uplifting and pure and fruitful joy. I think it's super important at the moment to know that we are not alone. One of the things that we go through, that everybody's going through at the moment, which I've noticed, is that we all feel like because of the pressure, we want to withdraw. Because of the pressure, we want to kind of isolate ourselves because we're trying to find the coping mechanism at the moment that works. And I want to tell you that, again, one of our strengths in South Africa is that we actually know how to pull together when time comes for action. And part of pulling together is not making a rah noise, not making a big sound with no action. But sometimes it's actually just coming alongside one another and saying, hey, I see you. This is something in the kingdom that we can do at the moment really well. I just want to say that in the kingdom, we need to make sure that we are focusing on Jesus within one another and not being critical. There's actually no space for criticism of one another at the moment because we're all under enough pressure. I just wanted to sort of just paint a little picture. So as you're moving into your rightful place, you have, you can't go back. You know you have to move forward. You can't look to the right or to the left. I see this prophetic picture quite often, and it's of an arrow that is shooting through like And there's stuff happening on this side and there's stuff happening on that side, and it's like, you know, this arrow just has got to literally hit the mark all the way through. And it flies through a lot of distraction, a lot of noise, a lot of different situations to reach the target. And you are that arrow. And it's a supernatural grace and this is the acceleration that's been spoken about. It's the momentum that is just keeping you focused and just know where you've got to hit the mark. So I want to add this. You need to ask God very clearly, what is your assignment and your assigned territory at the moment? Because until now, there's been a little bit of confusion around whether it's been God that's been holding you back because of timing or training, all of that. So you need to be very clear on what He's mandated you for. You need to ask Him, He'll tell you. And then you need to move forward in all focus towards that. And as we're doing that, we need to create space and grace for one another to step into our positions. Change and transition is messy for everybody, which means that sometimes you kind of like feeling around to say, like, is this mine? Is this okay? Can I be here? Until now, like, a spirit of timidity has often been there with South Africans when it comes to ministry and expressions and stepping into destiny and calling, that we're waiting for somebody to give us permission, because we're actually quite respectful people. We're waiting for somebody to give us permission to say, hey, you can go here. But what you need to know more than anything is that you have God's approval. You need to know what He's approved of for you to do. And then take that space gracefully. So what I really just want to say is, you are not alone. What you're feeling at the moment, we're all feeling. So let's join together in the best way that we know how to stand with one another and see this through. Let's see the plans of God through for this country, because His plans are to prosper South Africa. Only reason why we're facing what we're facing is because we have such a high calling in this country to go on and be a light to other nations. And I want to tell you that it started happening already. There are people that are being sent out from South Africa with a message from what they've been through to go and bless other countries and take provision in the spirit, in the natural. And I really believe that whatever God has placed within you and what you've been through until now carries such a multiplication on it, that you're going to be shocked and surprised when you see that in comparison to what we're going through now and what He's releasing you into is there's no comparison. What we're going through now is this. It sounds like it's roaring, but what you're about to be released into is like beyond what you've had a frame of reference for until now. I just want to bless you to flourish in His presence in this time, and to process what you need to process, and know that you're not alone. So that is what I felt to download. If there's more, I will do another video, but now I'm going to get back to dinner. Much love. Bye.